Alrighty, guys, thanks for joining me. This is your host, ID Jester. Welcome back to a rise and fall of America's card company, Stratomatic. This will be part two. So, after my first video, Dave Little decided to reply back and do his own take on Stratomatic, and I highly recommend you go check that out. I don't have any problems with anybody else's views of things. I don't have any problem with somebody else debating or conflicting what I have to say. So if anyone else out there wants to give their thoughts and views on Stratomatic, I don't have any problem with that. Me and Dave are good. I think Dave is a wonderful guy. He has a different view on things, and I don't want this video to turn into a me versus Dave or anything like that. If it ends up sounding that way, I'm going to actually delete the video and redo it because I don't want this to turn into a he said situation and all that. But I do want to reply to some of the things, some of the comments that Dave talked about in his video and kind of clarify a few things from my first video that were probably misconstrued or not understanding very well. And I want this video, part two here, to be more of a clarification of exactly why and how I feel the way I do. And I don't want this to turn into a me upsetting anyone else's views. Because like I said, I don't have any problem with anyone else. Your view is your view on things, and that is great. And if you have different views than me, that is perfectly fine. I have obviously very strong opinions, and I think there's other people out there that have very strong opinions on things. But I think I need to clarify a few things about my views on Stratomatic because I get these comments. I get people messaging me and commenting and stuff, and I don't think they quite understand my whole view on everything. It's misconstrued, I think. There is some misconceptions out there in my view of Stratomatic. And I'm going to use Dave reference out there when he talked about there is many different kinds of coffee. There's some people that don't drink coffee. There's some people that like it black. Some people like it with cream and sugar. Some people go for the special mocha latte with caramel swirls and whipped cream and all that. So there is a ton of different kinds of coffee out there. So I want to clarify some things that I had talked about in the first video. My first point being, and I think this is the most important point that I can get across because, as I said, I still have people messaging me and saying, ID Jester, I love Stratomatic. I don't know what your problem is. It's the best system out there. I love it. I will continue supporting the company and blah, blah, blah. All right. So I'm going to put it into a phrase and in terms that hopefully people will understand. And we're going to talk about this as a coffee, as Dave talked about in his video. There's lots of different coffees out there. I am not against your coffee at all. That is 100%. There is nothing wrong with your coffee. And when I'm talking about your coffee, I'm talking about Stratomatic. You've taken me to your coffee house. I've drunk your coffee. I enjoy your coffee. This has got absolutely, I cannot say this enough. In fact, I'm going to record this over and over again and post this as its own video because it's important that people understand I have nothing against your cup of coffee. I have nothing against Stratomatic the game. So people that keep messaging me and saying, I love Stratomatic, I don't know what your problem is. Or, how can you not like Stratomatic? I grew up playing Stratomatic, it's the best system out there. This has got absolutely, positively, 100% nothing to do with your views about your cup of coffee. Okay? What this is about and what I have complained about and talked about throughout my rants and raves about Stratomatic doesn't have anything to do with your cup of coffee. What it has to do with is you going to your coffee house and being mistreated by your coffee house over and over and over again, and you just accepting that fact. So, for example, so I can put this in a term that people understand, when you go to your coffee house and you can't get sugar with your coffee unless you order a large cup, you don't get creamers. They charge you extra for your creamers. There is no seating in your coffee house. You have to stand there. Sometimes you get the coffee and it's too hot, too cold. Sometimes when you ask for a refill, they charge you for your refill. Okay? This has got nothing to do with your coffee. Okay, your coffee is good. I enjoy your coffee. You've taken me to your coffee house. I enjoy your coffee. I've drunk your coffee. It's great. There's no problem with your coffee whatsoever. The problem I have isn't with the coffee, it's the way you're treated at your coffee house. The way that you just accept the things that are there in your coffee house when there are 20 other coffee houses just up the block, just across the street, and they don't charge you for sugar or creamer. They give you free refills. They have couches and lounges and chairs. They give you free Wi-Fi. This is what I'm talking about. This is the example. This is the issue I have with your coffee house. It doesn't have anything to do with your brand of coffee. It has to do with the way you are treated as a customer and the way that you are accepting of the things that your coffee house does that nobody else does. And it just does, it's not acceptable. So hopefully I've made that perfectly clear. I have no issue with Stratomatic the game. I enjoy Stratomatic the game. You can look at videos on my channel. I play Stratomatic all the time. I have hockey. I have baseball. I used to have the football game. I'm not a basketball game guy, so I don't have basketball game. But I enjoy the actual cups of coffee at your house, your coffee house. That's not the problem. The problem is your coffee company is saying, well, if you want sugar, you're going to have to order the large cup. Well, why? Why is that acceptable when I can go across the street and get almost as good coffee as your place, and they don't charge me for creamer and sugar? They give me free refills. They treat me better as a customer. Why is that? And it just doesn't make sense to me. And when I question people and ask the Stratomatic fans, they basically tell me, well, it's because I enjoy the coffee. So it doesn't matter to me about any of the other things. It doesn't matter to me that they don't give me free sugar. It doesn't matter to me that they don't give me free refills. And it doesn't matter to me that there's no couches and chairs there. I enjoy the coffee, so I drink the coffee there. And that's not a problem for me. And if that is not a problem for you, then the discussion is over between us, because my only point is to this whole thing, it's not about how you enjoy your coffee, right? It's about the way the coffee house is treating you as a customer, and the way that the coffee house is, the way their policies and the way they do things, and the way they've been doing things since the 80s and the 90s shouldn't be acceptable to you as a customer anymore. We are now in the 2019 years, and it shouldn't be acceptable what was they had done in the past, and it shouldn't be accepted for you because all the other coffee houses don't do it that way anymore. If you say to me, Jester, I don't mind paying for the extra coffee, I don't mind the fact that I go to order a large just to get cream and sugar, I don't mind that there's no seats here. I don't mind that the coffee comes cold. I don't mind that they don't give me free refills. I don't mind any of that stuff because I enjoy the coffee. Then our discussion is done because I can't force you to enjoy and like the things that you like for that coffee house if you don't see that. If you are accepting enough to say, I enjoy this coffee the most, so I'm going to put up with all of these other things, then there's nothing I can do to convince you otherwise. And I'm not trying to convince you otherwise. Okay? Let's get that. That is kind of my second point is I am not here to say to you guys, okay, you should leave this coffee house and go to a different coffee house. And that is the second most common reply I get back from people is you're just a Stratomatic hater. I enjoy Stratomatic. I'm going to continue playing Stratomatic and I don't care what you have to say about it. And that's again, I have no problem, no issue with that whatsoever. Again, if you are going to be saying to me, come to my coffee house, and I say, I'm not going because of they don't give me free sugar. I don't come in because the creamer's hot. They're using small cups. They don't have seating there. They charge me extra. They don't give me free refills. I tell you all these things, and you say, well, then I'm still going to that coffee house because I enjoy the coffee. Then our discussion is done because you will see or you will um, you've decided that the coffee that you get from there is worth all the other things to put up with. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that's part of what Dave was saying in his video is I don't have an issue with all of these things. So I'm willing to put up with all these fringe problems because I enjoy the coffee. If that is the case, there is nothing I can say to change your mind, then that's great. But my second point is kind of a roundabout way of saying it is I don't want you to leave your coffee company. I don't want you to change coffee houses. That is 100% not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying to you is if you are going to this coffee house because you enjoy their coffee, then you should question them. You should ask them why. Why is there no couches here? Why do I not get free refills when every place else gives me free refills? Why do I have to get a large size to get the creamer and sugars? Why this? Why are you charging me $2 extra just to get a stir straw? Why are all these things that you're doing when all the other coffee houses don't? Okay? Now, if you had gone and watched Dave's video, which I hope you did, and again, me and Dave are cool. I have no problem with anyone that has anything to say about me, whether it's good, bad, negative, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. It's not going to hurt me personally, and I don't. I'm not trying to attack Dave. I don't think Dave was trying to attack me. I think we see the bigger picture that we both have different views. We have our own opinions on things. So this is nothing at all against Dave Little. Great, wonderful YouTuber, great guy. I have no issues with him whatsoever. In fact, I respect him that he would put out a video giving me his views and thoughts and explanations of his history with Stratomatic and his views on why they are the way they are. That is, for me, that is great. That is, his passion shows, and it was done in a respectful and dignity manner. And he definitely, was not trying to argue or fight. He was just trying to say, this is why I go to my coffee house, and I don't have a problem with all of these fringe things. And that is just fine. But I do want to mention a couple more things that he had talked about in his video in depth, and I kind of, again, want to show my side. Okay, this isn't to talk down about you and your coffee company, right? This isn't to talk about you and the way you enjoy your coffee. And this is not meant to say go to some other coffee house. This is not what this is for. This is only for me to say you guys should rally and say we are not getting what we should get out of our coffee house. We should deserve more. We have supported you for years and years, and you've been taking advantage of us. You should give us more, supply us more. You should endeavor to give us more and more each year to keep us as loyal customers, because you sitting, you at the coffee house, when you're waiting to get your coffee, you're seeing less and less and less people coming into that coffee house. And the reason less and less people are coming in there is because they are getting fed up with the things that you don't mind. The things that the coffee house does, all these fringe problems that I talk about that you don't mind, there are a lot of people that do mind this. And you as a customer should not want less and less people coming to your coffee house. What's going to happen to your coffee house and less people showing up? They're going to give you a lot less for your money because they cannot supply as much. They don't make as much money. They're going to give you less and less of your coffee in your coffee cup until eventually they're going to go out of business. So for you as a customer, you should want lots of other people to go to that coffee house and support that coffee house, because that way you know if I've got lots of people coming in and we're buying lots of coffee, that coffee house will stay there forever. And that should be your goal. But when you see other people not coming in because they're fed up with, I can go across the street and get coffee just as good, and they treat me a lot better. They give me free refills. They give me a creamer. They don't charge me $2 for a serve stick, etc. They give me chairs and lounges to lay in and relax while I'm having my coffee with them. And the more and more people see these other coffee houses and they start going there. I'm not telling you to leave. I'm saying I want this coffee house. I want our coffee house to get better. I want our coffee house to treat us better as customers. I want them to just be better so that more people will enjoy their coffee. So now, like I was saying, there's a couple things that I want to talk about that David mentioned in his video. And again, this is not about me against Dave. This is about me saying these are the fringe things that I have problems with and why I don't come to your coffee house as much as I should. And you as a customer should realize this and take this as not a a threat against your coffee, but take this as what can your coffee house do to make themselves better for you to get more people involved, more people come back, more people enjoying what they have to offer. Because there are certainly, if you go back and look at video 1 and the rise and fall of America's card companies, you're going to see quite a few comments about people saying that they had no longer interested in Stratomatic for one reason or the other. And it's the other thing is, we talked in video 1, and I'm just going to try and stay on track here and not go off track on a tangent here. So the point I was making, and Dave brought this up in his video, and that's why I kind of want to go over it again, not as a me versus Dave thing, but this is just a clarification on what the meaning of what I was talking about. Because Dave gone on a tangent about the graphics in the Stratomatic computer game, okay? And I had mentioned that in video 1, but the reason behind that wasn't to say that Stratomatic should be a MLB The Show or a John Madden, 2020, or an NHL 20, or any of those graphics. That's not the point of what I was making. Okay? The point I was making in that video is these game companies, the big AAA publishers that make John Madden and make MLB The Show, are doing no innovations. They're not making enough upgrades for their customers anymore. And the customer base is saying, we, are not happy with this. You should be able to create new and interesting things for us, for our games. You should be able to do this for us and not just rehash the same thing over and over and over again every year with just nothing but a roster update. That was my point, in that Stratomatic has done the same thing, where they have released the same product year after year with very few updates other than rosters, and they have been charging their customers full price, etc., etc. And it's not acceptable in the mainstream sports gaming community. It shouldn't be accepted in the card and dice sports sim community. And I just don't think that, while I mentioned the graphics, I know, and we all know, Stratomatic's graphics are horrible, and there's nothing about that. This has got nothing to do with that, other than they should be a lot better than what they are. And for those people who say, I'm sorry, when I ask them, well, why is the graphics so bad in sports, in Stratomatic computer games? And they just say, well, that's the way it is. And they, I don't expect fancy graphics. I don't expect any, this is what it is, and I don't expect anything more than that. And that's, again, part of the issue. Okay? So Dave went into some rather long depth and explanation about how and why the graphics are the way they are. They only have one programmer there. They're a small company, and their focus isn't on, creating fancy graphics like MLB The Show and everything. Okay? That wasn't my point in the first video. My point in the first video was to say they shouldn't be releasing the same product over and over and over again every year with nothing but a roster update and charging you full price for that. It's not acceptable in the AAA sports market. It shouldn't be acceptable in the cards and dice market. And they shouldn't be charging you $60 to $80 just to get the new roster updates, because they have not spent the time and effort on that. So Dave's counter to that was, they're a small company. It's not their focus to make a game that's going to be, super graphics and all that. And I 150% agree to what Dave said there. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm going to compare the Stratomatic versus a couple other things here to prove my point. What I'm talking about isn't about making graphics. What I'm talking about is making it easier and better for their customers to access the information that they can get on, to look at things better and easier, and prettier, and just functionality better than what they're doing in the Stratomatic. So I'm going to compare the Stratomatic computer games versus Replay baseball sim. If we look at the two of those, now I understand Dave said Stratomatic is not a very big company. They have a very skeleton crew, not very, they don't have a ton of money to spend on things. If you compare Stratomatic with, let's say, Replay Baseball, if I was to ask you guys which one of those two companies is bigger, sells more product, has more um, uh, of the customer base, has more of a loyal following of their computer or of their sports sims, which one of these two companies are you going to say is the answer? Is it Stratomatic or are you going to say Replay Baseball? I'm going to say Stratomatic is probably 3 times as big or important or has a loyal fan base, has more customers. I don't know how, I don't have the sales quotes. I can't go and say, okay, this is how much Stratomatic sells in a year and this is how much Replay Baseball sells in a year. But I can guarantee that on a very low estimate, and I don't think this can be argued by anyone, on a very low estimate, I would say Stratomatic sells probably 3 times as much as Replay Baseball. How do they generate their money? How does any company? They sell their product. So Stratomatic is going to be a much bigger company compared to Replay Baseball. They're going to have a bigger fan base. They're going to sell more product. So in my eyes, right, in my eyes and in everyone else's eyes out there, if you are comparing apples to apples, I'm not going to compare Stratomatic to MLB The Show. That's not a fair comparison. That's not what I was talking about in my first video. Go back and watch it. That's not what I'm talking about. I don't want Stratomatic to become an MLB The Show with all the fancy graphics and everything, right? What I want Stratomatic to be is equal to the other coffee houses that are running around that, in the neighborhood. I want Stratomatic to not say, okay, well, this all we can do. We're just a few man show. The guy across the street's a few man show too. He sells me coffee. He gives me creamer. He gives me sugar. He gives me free refills. He's got couches. He's got lounges. He gives me free stir sticks. Uh, he gives me, discounts or whatever. If he can do it, why can't Stratomatic do it? And the answer being, well, Stratomatic doesn't focus in on it, or um, it's not their focus of the company. That is kind of, to me, a cop out because we're we're talking about a company that is 3 times as bigger than Replay Baseball. I'm assuming. Let's just even say. We'll just even say for shits and giggles, we will say that Stratomatic and Replay Baseball are equal in size, scope, and value, and everything else. They sell the same amount. I don't think that would be the case, but let's just say that they're equal in size. So when we compare the products, you would think that we would be able to compare equally apples to apples in this case, right? We're not comparing Stratomatic versus a company that sells 15 million units of MLB The Show. We're talking about the same kind of coffee to coffee, straight up. You look at your coffee, you look at my coffee. Let's see which coffee house does a better job of this. That's what I'm talking about when I say it's unacceptable the way Stratomatic does it. So let's look at Stratomatic. If we go in and we say, all right, let's look at the league stats here from our season we've got going on, right? And so I want to hyperlink over to New York and I want to find out all of their information. I want to see the games they played. I want to find out who's hitting the most. I want all this information quickly and easily for myself. I can't do it, right? So I got to go from standings. Let's see. If I want to find out about the Yankees, I got to click on I got to go back and go to New York here in the American League, and then I got to go to the team display reports. Here's the report I can look at. All right, let's scroll that over a little bit. All right, here's the roster report. Let's see if we can look at, I don't know, pitchers. Let's look at pitchers. Here's the pitchers, et cetera, et cetera. All right. So this for me, this is not functional. It's not easy for me to look at the different players in the league. It's not easy for me to find out information that I want. Okay? Let's compare that to replay baseball, and assuming again, we're assuming that replay baseball, although I don't believe it, would be equal to in size and scope as Stratomatic. If we were to look at replay baseball and say, okay, what can we do there? Let's go into our main season here. Ah, look at that. Well, all right, so that's just my 2011 or 2018 replay. There we go. This is the replay of the season here, right? Notice that almost every single solitary thing on this screen is hyperlinked to go and find out about it. So let's say I've got my replay here. My next game coming up for the Braves. Let's see. Oh, there's the Braves and all their information. We'll get to that here in a second. So what I want to do is I want to find out about who is coming up under my schedule. Oh, here they are, right here. So I'm coming up against the Cubs. It's going to be McCarthy against Chatwood. I got all that information. Really? Oh, I can click on the Chicago right from there, and I can get all the information about who is, okay, he's batting. Baez is their batting leader. Schwarber is their home run leader. RBIs is, okay. And let's see, how has their schedule been? Who have they played recently? What's their one-loss record? I can quickly and easily get to all of this information by just clicking around, not having to bring up other menus. It's just so quick and easy. All right? So my problem, again, is if a company like Replay Baseball can design something like this, why is it okay for Stratomatic to be like this? Why is that acceptable? If you are telling me, oh, it's acceptable to me to have this the way it is, then that's part of why they do that, because you aren't telling your coffee house this isn't acceptable anymore, right? This is not what I expect anymore from my coffee house. Again, maybe you don't care about this because you're in leagues and all this other information. You know, you got your league management and all this, blah blah blah, and you're going in and checking out that information. But wouldn't it be easier if everything was so neat and organized and hyperlinked? If I want to find out about Mike Trout, I can do that, right? I can get all the information about him. What his batting is, what his home runs. I can actually look at his card for free, right? I can look at his card for free, and I can see everything, right? And all right, well, let's see. So we've got Chicago coming up. Let's take a look at Chicago. So I can find out all the information that I want to find out about their schedule, their statistics, their availability, their roster, their usage, their lineups, their profiles, blah, 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 right? More and more information. I can go and I can see everything interesting about my league quickly and easily in a beautifully done manner. Why is it okay? Or why, if you're a Stratomatic person, are you telling me, oh, it's okay the way it is? If you're accepting this over something like this, from a company that doesn't even do half of what you do in business or a third of what you do in business, and they can produce something like this, you can't seriously tell me that's not an issue, right? You really can't tell me that, well, I don't really care. I use it for the net play. I use it for this. I use it for, my league. I use it for that. Oh, by the way, this has all of that as well. Right? I can click on this button here and connect to another computer just like I can with Stratomatic. So that has all the functionality of the Stratomatic built into it as well. So you can't tell me that, oh well, our game uses the net phase and we have, yeah, this does too, and it does all these other things as well, and it does it 100 times better. That's what I'm talking about. Is not accepting the coffee the way it's done at your coffee house anymore. Why is it okay for your coffee house to sell the things that you want? Don't tell me. If you tell me I like my coffee the way it is and I don't care about any of these other fringe things again, that's great. But if you're just accepting that because that's the way it's been, is not a good reason for you to do that when it should be done a lot better. It should be done a lot better, right? And that's just one comparison. We're going to talk about another comparison here in just a second, right? So it's just, if you were to, I could get into more details and information about this, but, I'm not going to get into depth about it right now because it's just, you can see the difference, right? It has all the functionality, right? Plus, this gives you so much more, right? If you notice when I click on this button and I bring up my season, right? You will notice it has all the nice photos all categorized and ready to go for my players. I can click on them, gives me the photo, all the information. Again, I can see the cards for free there. No problems whatsoever. These pincers, right? These pincers for all of their ballparks and all of their players can quickly and easily be added by just clicking the download button and adding them to your season. You just click the button and it downloads all of the photos, all of the player parks. It gives you all of that for free. You just download it and you don't have to spend your time or effort trying to do that. Why can't Stratomatic do that? Why is it such a hassle to try and add photos in to Stratomatic? This is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about creating a better game, a better computer version of a game with better graphics. What I'm talking about is why can't you do things like add photos in? You've been doing this and programming it for 15 freaking years and you can't have it download to load the player photos in? Everyone out there knows, no matter what computer game you use, the most important thing is to get the photos in for the players and to have it such be a hassle and a problem when all I have to do is click one download button and boom, it's all done for me. Why can't Stratomatic do that? Oh, well, that's just the way our coffee house does it. Well, that's not a good enough reason. And that's why people are leaving your coffee house, right? You don't want people leaving your coffee house. Then you, as a customer, should be saying, hey, wait a minute, this isn't acceptable, what you've been putting out for the last 20 years, or the last 15 years, or wherever it's been. So the other point that Dave made, and again, this is not a me versus Dave, I was already going to bring this up and show these things anyways, but the point is, Stratomatic, very small company. You can't compare them against, the big companies. They're not going to do that. That's not our focus. So the reason, again, that I brought that up in my first video wasn't to talk about graphics and all that. It was to talk about it's not acceptable in the AAA market to produce the same product year after year after year and charge their customers full price for something that they've just rehashed with new updates on the player roster. Creating a new player roster should not take very long. Now, Dave, as I mentioned, Dave had talked about such a small company. I think he said that they only have one programmer, whether that, I have no idea. They might have one, they might have none, whatever, I don't know. All right. But let's compare that to something else now. This is 4th Street. Anybody heard of 4th Street yet? Probably not a lot of people know about 4th Street. what they bring into the game. Let's. Oh, it's because I didn't load the season up because I'm rushing. Trying to get this done. Let's open the season file, load it up. There we go. There we go. All right. So let's see. Pittsburgh and Chicago. Awesome game. Here we go. This is 4th Street hockey, right? And I'm now, pretty neat little thing. It's got the lines. It's got all the information for me. The game, the ratings, the statistics, the time on ice. It's got all the information easily for me. I click the begin button, and we are ready to drop the puck. Here it goes. Crosby won the puck over to Kessel. Kessel has it. He's going to bring it in the zone. Slap shot by Malkin. Oh, he hit the crossbar. Letang wins possession of it in the offensive zone. Backhand saved by Crawford. Crawford freezes the puck, so we're going to have a face-off. Crosby over to Malkin. Malkin has it and hit by Wingles. And Keith has it for Chicago. Duncan Keith. And pass by Keith is intercepted by Malkin. And backhander, easy save by Crawford. And so we're going to have another face-off between Getzel and Taze for Chicago. This is a pretty neat little thing. You get to see the players move around. I'm not talking about, this isn't NHL 20, right? This is just a computer and dice simulation made by 4th Street Software, a game company that probably maybe sells very few a year, right? This is made by one guy that did this in his spare time because he had a full-time job as a teacher. This is a one-man operation that created the computer games, the card and dice games, and he does hockey, baseball, basketball, and football. All 4 sports. He designed, created, developed, packaged, sells cards, ships cards. He does it all himself, part-time while he was a full-time teacher, programming this, creating this, the systems, everything by himself. By himself. On the side while working full-time 4 sports, cards and dice, and computer simulations by himself, packaging, selling, sending to the printer, everything he needs to do to get everything for the cards and dice and the computers and the seasons and everything else done by himself. He's since retired, so now he actually has a little bit more time to spend on this. But this is one dude that did this on the side while he was a full-time teacher. So for you to tell anyone that is okay for Stratomatic because they only have one programmer and they don't have the time, they don't have the resources, they don't have the desire, they don't have the finances to create something better than what they have, that is a bunch of doo-doo. And I'm trying to be nice about it because that is total BS. This program, created by one dude on the side while doing a full-time job, while trying to do 3 other sports, and creates a program that is 3 to 5 times better than what you get on a Stratomatic, makes Stratomatic look like a joke. One dude did this part-time as a side adventure, plus all the cards, plus the 3 other, all 4 major sports he does. 4th Street Software, or 4th Street Card and Dice. Do a Google search. You'll be able to check out his website. I highly recommend it. So, This is why I have an issue sometimes with the way people say, well, Stratomatic is the way Stratomatic is. They don't have a lot of resources. They don't have time. They don't have there's only one programmer on staff. He's got to do 4 sports. Dude, this was created by one dude part-time by himself. This is created part-time by one dude. So you telling me that, oh no, Stratomatic can't do something like this or better when they have at least one person on their staff? That shows me that your coffee house could care less about you as a customer. I'm not expecting great graphics. These aren't great graphics. We all admit this is nothing fancy. This is nothing special. This is card and dice. This is what we expect as a card and dice company, right? We're not comparing them to Madden. We're not comparing them to was it MLB The Show? We're comparing Stratomatic, which everyone in the planet has heard of, versus 4th Street card and dice computer games, who very few people have heard of, and you can see the value, the quality from this. And if you're telling me, oh, Stratomatic doesn't do it because it's not their focus, it's not what they care about. I, as a customer, don't care about it. Wouldn't you much rather be able to see things like this going on in your hockey game than what's going on in it with the way it's done now? Information that comes on the screen, you see all the dice rolls, you're able to make decisions, it's got all the information you need. Wouldn't it be better for that? Well, I'm in a league and we do this on the side and blah blah blah. Okay, great, that's fine. I don't have any problem with that. Why is Stratomatic not able to replicate something that one dude did in his spare time while he was a full-time teacher? Why does this make Stratomatic, a company way bigger than him, sell way more products than him? Why does it make their sports games look like total BS? Why is that? That's my issue. That's my issue with Stratomatic. That's my issue with your coffee house. When I go to another coffee house and I sit down in the nice comfortable chair and I relax and say, oh man, this is nice, and they come around and serve me free coffee, and you go back to your coffee house and you say, oh, my coffee house, well, this is the way they do things. Well, that's great, but it shouldn't be acceptable to you. If you are like one of those people that say, well, I don't have a problem with it because it does what I need it to do, then you're part of the problem. Because if one guy can do this part-time, then the 15 years Stratomatic has been programming shit, they should have been able to do stuff a lot better than this. In the 15 years they've been programming stuff. And they sell this to you over and over and over again, every year after year after year, with nothing but a roster update for $60. Plus, they charge you for the cards and dice extra. They charge you for all that stuff extra. That's the problem I have with Stratomatic. It's nothing to do with their coffee. Their coffee's fine, but they need to do all these other things and to make it better to want to come to their coffee house. And if you're telling me, oh no, I don't need that other stuff because I'm perfectly happy, then you're going to see less and less people showing up to their coffee house, which you've been seeing through the years. Less and less people showing up. And the reason is because people that will say, it works fine the way it is. It's been fine for 20 years. It's been fine for 30 years. I've been enjoying it. I have no problem with it. And that's the best they can do. Really? That's the best they can do? If you accept the best from what they have, then you're part of the problem. You should be demanding more out of your company. If you are telling me that that's the best they can do when you see and compare equal, and I'm just assuming There is nobody in the world that would say 4th Street Hockey or 4th Street Computer. Oh, let's start again. There's nobody in the world that can tell me that 4th Street Sports is equal to Stratomatic. It's probably very few people in the world didn't even heard about 4th Street. Very few people, right? He's got a loyal following. He has the same people year after year buying different things from him. You know, he gets his word of mouth out from other people and other customers, pass on the information. And, you know, at the time, he couldn't mass produce hundreds and hundreds of things because he was, a full-time person working a full-time job and doing this on the side. And then you have, you know, compare that to Stratomatic. And even if Stratomatic has, let's just say that they have one dude there on staff that does the computer stuff. All right? Are you not telling me that that one dude could actually program something better than what they've done in 15 years? Are you telling me that that one dude couldn't do that when we have another person out there that does this? Right? Are you telling me that Stratomatic isn't bigger than Replay in their scope and their player base and their fan base and the amount of product they sell every year? Are you telling me that Stratomatic isn't better than Replay Sports? And again, this is nothing against Replay, you know, being a smaller company. It's nothing against them. But when they can produce things like this, when they can outshine Stratomatic by leaps and bounds, and for you to come back and your answer is, well, that's just the way it is. It's the way it's always been. And then that's the problem I have with Stratomatic, is they've been giving you the same crap year after year after year, and you as a loyal customer enjoying their coffee, saying, I enjoy their coffee, so I will just continue drinking the coffee, when you have companies that are way smaller than them, way out producing what they do. I'm gonna nitpick and talk about, you know, some of the things, but every single one of these is hyperlinked into something. I can go back, right? If I want to get my box score from a couple days ago, I can just click it right there from my main screen. I don't need to go through 3 freaking menus to try and dig it up in Stratomatic. I mean, I can get into that would be a 2-hour video by itself, just comparing these two products. If you want, I can do that, right? But I'm not. What I want to do say is, look at this. Look at what you're getting from Stratomatic, and then tell me that it's okay for Stratomatic to do that. If it's okay for you, that's the problem. The problem is you don't expect more from your company. You should be expecting more from your company. When one dude can create something like this at part-time, and it makes Stratomatic hockey look like total dog crap, that's the problem. That is a serious problem. The customer or the company doesn't care about you as a customer. Or they would try to improve, they would try to innovate, they would try to create new things. It doesn't need to be MLB 20 the show. It doesn't need to be John Madden. What it needs to be is functional, easy, and showing their customers that have desire to create something good and wonderful for them. That's where the problem is. And the part of the problem is the customer base for Stratomatic has been doing the same thing over and over again for years and years, and just accepting the way things have been for all of these years. Is this game perfect? Hell no, this game is not perfect. There's issues, there's problems. You occasionally have things that come up. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. But when one guy can create something like this part-time while he's a full-time teacher, and does it for 4 sports. Now, the reason I'm showing you the hockey is because I own the hockey game, right? Uh, I'm not even going to get into the pricing and the difference in the pricing. I can do another video. I'd be more, all I have to do is hear the words, "Hey Jester, do a video on comparing these two products," and I'm there, right? But that's not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is to clarify and explain and show people exactly what we're talking about, right? I'm not comparing Stratomatic versus MLB The Show, other than to say the AAA companies out there that are creating their products, same products year after year, right, and charging their customers full price for it is not acceptable. The people on the internet are going nuts over this, and yet the card and dice customers are completely fine with it, right? Well, that's fine. I don't expect Stratomatic to turn into something like MLB The Show or whatever one of those big AAA companies is. But what I expect out of Stratomatic is to create things that are useful and good for their customers, and not use something they programmed in 1998, right? In 1998, and just updating with rosters. They've made no effort to change it, update it, create new things for it. They use the same game engine, the same everything from 1998. And it's been 13 years of programming on the same game year after year. When people answer and say, well, that's because it's not their focus and they just only have a small company and they only have a few people on staff, right? Which is all valid and true, but you compare that to the same thing that is out there from companies that are way smaller than Stratomatic, and you compare the two products, you say to yourself, why can I get this from this company, but I can't from Stratomatic? Why can one dude create something that is better than what Stratomatic does? And the answer given is Stratomatic's a small company and they only have one dude. That's not acceptable. That's not a good reason. That's a cop-out. That is a farce. That is an excuse that you've been given to have people come back to your coffee house for, and it's not acceptable by, it shouldn't be acceptable by you as a consumer. When one guy can create this, or a small company like Replay Baseball, right? A small company like Replay Baseball can create something like this. I'm not even going to get into the fact that you can actually play game, replay your game and then switch to another game. You can put your game on pause and go check out the action in other games going on at the same time. I mean, you can download player pictures for free by clicking one download button. They'll completely install into your games for free. No extra charge, no extra choice. You get, when you purchase a season, you get all of the player cards. You can see every one of the player cards. You can make and set up your lineups based upon actual information that you can see by having look at the player cards. Here is Nick Markakis' player card. You can see it right there. Didn't cost me anything extra to see that player card. It comes with the game, right? If I want to look at anyone else, it gives me all of the information that I need to do. I can click back and forth so quickly and easily. Why can a company like Replay Baseball, which we've already talked about, not even close in size and scope as Stratomatic, and for somebody to say, anyone, whether you're talking cards and dice, whatever, it's not acceptable when they can't do what other companies can. Your coffee house is one of the biggest and best coffee houses out there. It's all over the country. It's huge compared to some of the other local coffee houses. And yet they can't afford to make something like this? No, not acceptable. They can. They can pay. They can make something like this. They could make something better than this. They could create an awesome sports program. They choose not to. They choose not to because the people that go to their coffee house have been programmed and to accept the mediocrity that they receive from their coffee house. And it shouldn't be accepted by anyone out there. When a small one-man unit or a very small company can create something that is so much better, you cannot give me an excuse that they can't do better. They should be able to do better, and they have chosen not to do better. That is the problem. It has nothing to do with your coffee. Your coffee is great. I love your coffee. It is the problem with the coffee house. Not doing better. Charging you for things you don't need to be charged for. Not creating new and interesting ways to give you their coffee. To not giving you the service that you deserve as a customer. And you cannot tell me, it's just because ours is just a small coffee house out in the middle of nowhere. They only have a few customers there. Well, really? The coffee house across the street can do it. If the coffee house across the street can do it, then damn well better Stratomatic should be stepping up to the plate and making something way better than this. This is horrible. The design, the interface, the structure, everything. And to say, well, we only use it for our online league. Well, this has got online as well. It's got all that functionality plus online. And if you want, I will connect with someone and play a game if you want to be proved that this has internet connection. If that's what you require. If that's your excuse, well, I use mine for the online play. Okay, that other one has online play and all those other features. Why can't Stratomatic do it? There's no reason why they can't. They choose not to. That's the only reason. And they give you the excuse, well, we're just a small company. We only have a few people on staff. We only have one programmer. Then you should be taking screenshots of this. You should be taking screenshots of this and saying, well, why can one dude part-time create this then if you have a small staff with one programmer, a full-timer? And even if he isn't full-time, how can a full-time person working full-time, doing this on the side by himself, creating 4 sports programs with cards and dice, with the computer, packaging and selling everything himself? How can he do that all by himself on the side, and you can't find a programmer that can create something better than this? That is ridiculous. If you are telling me that that is acceptable, then you're the reason people are leaving the coffee house. It's because you are under their impressions that they give you that they can only do so much. We can't create the cards for, print out the cards. Yes, they could print out the cards. They choose not to, right? Because they know their player base doesn't accept them. Right? If I go in and look at all the player cards that I have for this season, it is way more than what I have if I do the card and dice. Why can't I get those extra players? Well, they choose not to. Well, your coffee house has been screwing you over year after year after year because of these reasons. And I'm not telling you to leave your coffee house. What I'm telling you is you should be telling your coffee house to step up to the plate and do better, do more. This interface is horrible. When you look at this, right, that is horrible. This is basically nothing more than an Excel spreadsheet that they put on the screen for you. That's because they programmed this back in 1997 and they have made no changes, no updates to it. How can a company do this? Right? How can a company do this? A small company that is not even equal in size and scope. How can a small company create this? You know why? Because that company said, I want to make something good for my customers. I'm going to hire someone and they're going to create this for me. And this is what I want. And I want it to be quick. I want it to be easy. I want it to be functional. I want to have all of these special things in it for my customers. That was a decision the company made. They could have made the crap that Stratomatic makes, right? But no, they chose as a company to say, no, we're going to be better. We're going to create something that's going to be functional, that's going to be nice, it's going to be super good. If I show this program to a teenager, they're going to be a lot more interested in playing cards and dice baseball. A lot more interested than if I show them this. So again, the company is hurting themselves by not doing better because their player base will dwindle away to nothing because eventually the players that have been with them for 30, 40, 50 years are going to pass on and they're going to need to get more people interested in playing their game. One way to get them more interested in playing the game would create something quick and easy for the kids to use. No kid on the planet is going to want to play this when they have to look at this thing. Maybe us as kids, as 20-year-olds or as 30-year-olds, we could accept this because that's our graphics from our generation. When we did things on the computer back in the 1990s, that's what it looked like. We're used to that. We see that. The kids nowadays, they don't see that. The kids nowadays see this. The reason Stratomatic doesn't do this is because their customer base isn't demanding better from them. They could do this. They have the money, they have the resources, and if they don't, they could. But they choose not to do it. They choose to create something like this every single year for 15 years. And if you want to tell me that it's because they're a small company, a mom and pop shop, and they only have a few employees, and they only have one programmer, then my reason is, okay, what about this? How come they can do it? What about this? How come he can do it? Well, there you go. That is my kind of longer-winded explanation again about Stratomatic and the reasons behind it. Again, more of a clarification on, I actually have to close out of this. We'll close out of it. More of a clarification on, I'm not expecting super good graphics. Nope, never said it has to be a super good graphics. I'm not saying they have to replicate MLB The Show. Not interested in that. There's already MLB The Show. We don't need another one. What we do need is we need your coffee house to step up to the plate and create a better program for you as a customer. A better program for the kids that are growing up and are going to be interested in cards and dice and not going to be turned off by the product they are designing right now. And you as a customer, again, I love my coffee. I don't mind any of this other stuff. They can charge me extra for creamer. They can charge me for stir sticks. No free refills. I don't care about any of that stuff because I enjoy the coffee. That's fine. I have no problem with that whatsoever. I'm happy for you. I've never told you to leave Stratomatic, ever. You've never heard me say leave Stratomatic and go somewhere else. What I've said is you should require your card and dice company. one of the biggest card and dice companies out there, right? Between it and APBA has got to be, I don't know which one would be bigger. My thought is Stratomatic is bigger, probably the biggest company out there. And if you're telling me the reason they can't do better is because they're a small company, they have very limited resources, it costs too much to print cards, it's this, that, and the other thing. That's not true. They're the biggest company out there, and if the small companies can do it, then Stratomatic can do it. There is absolutely no reason why Stratomatic can't do it, other than they have chosen not to do it because their player base doesn't expect more out of them. You should expect more out of Stratomatic than you do 4th Street um, software. You should expect more out of Stratomatic than you should expect out of Replay Baseball. And if they can't provide that to you, then that is the issue with your coffee house. And you as a customer should step up and demand more from them. Well, I appreciate everyone's time to come out today and listen to this video. I didn't mean to make it sound ranting and raving. I just wanted to go over some of the things that were thought and confused about in my original video, and kind of talk, kind of reply back about to what Dave said in his video. Again, I do not want this to turn into a me versus Dave issue. It's not anything about that. All right, I just replying back to, and I would have already talked about this anyways, but the issues that I have, okay, I'm going to say this hopefully for the last time, but I know it won't be because people don't listen, especially the people that didn't get to the end of the video. That's why I did it in the beginning, so hopefully those people heard that, but I'm going to talk about it one more time. I don't have any problems with your coffee, right? Stratomatic, for me, is fine. There's nothing wrong. I enjoy playing the games. It has got nothing to do with your enjoyment of playing Stratomatic, right? What this has got to do with is the way the Stratomatic company nickels and dimes their customers, the resources that they do have that they don't use to their advantage, and the things that they should be supplying to their customers that they don't. There is no way in hell anyone can explain to me, anyone in the world try to explain to me as a loyal Stratomatic fan, okay? Number one, explain to me why, in detail, the Stratomatic company cannot create something equal to or better than this, or equal to or better than this. Explain to me how these lower tier sports and dice companies can create something like this and Stratomatic can't. There's no reason other than they choose not to, and their loyal fan base has accepted that fact, and that's part of the issue. There is no way. If you are playing Stratomatic because you're in an online league or whatever, there is no reason why you couldn't have an interface like this where you're clicking around. You want to check out the other team. You want to see their record. You want to see what happened. We can go back to yesterday's games, right? We can go back to yesterday's games and find out all the information about them. Go into the schedule here from yesterday. We can click on any box score that happened in any game. There's the box score for every single game that happened on this date. All the details, all the information. How hard is this to be clicking on this stuff, right? Are you telling me that it wouldn't be better, easier, quicker more fun for you to do that? Are you telling me that being in an online league is better to be looking at, you know, let's see, no, I don't want to do that. I just don't want to screw anything up. Are you telling me that in an online league, probably, to try and get information, it's better to look at this, right? And then there's the information on Corey Dickerson. Really? That's the information? How many doubles does he have? How many home runs does he have for the season? What's his batting average? Can you really look at that and tell me what that is, please? Please. Tell me. Right? When I can go back and go, oh, you want to know what the Cubs, what their batting average is? Okay, let me click on it here, right? Oh, there's Chris Bryant. Let me go to the roster here. Here's Baez. Here's their different usage of the players. Here's their availability, when they're going to be available. Here's their statistics. Really? I want to find out who's best against right-handed pitchers, right? I can do a search by batting average. I can do a search by on base. I can do a search by slugging percentage. Are you telling me, honestly, that you as a Stratomatic online league player wouldn't find this more useful for you to dominate your online league? Are you telling me that wouldn't? No. You enjoy trying to figure out what the, I can't even tell what the frick his average is. I got to put my damn glasses on. It looks like it's 260. I don't know if that's it or not, but it looks like his average is 260 and he's hit one home run. Right? Oh, I want to go to yesterday's games. I want to see the box score, so I want to know what happened in yesterday's games. Oh, good Lord, trying to get that information. Good Lord, trying to get that information. If Replay Baseball can create something, one-click downloads of player photos, do they have to do that? I'm sorry, did they have to do that? No. Why? Why would they do something like that? Why would they do something like, hey, it might be pretty cool if my customers could download all the photos of all the players and do it in like one click. That would be something pretty cool. But man, that's going to cost us some resources. That's going to cost us some time. It's going to cost me some money. I'm going to have to pay a programmer to come in and do that. And then we're going to have to pay a programmer to fix all the bugs and the issues. But you know what? It might be something pretty cool that we can do for our customers. I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it as a company for me to do that. And you're telling me Stratomatic can't do something like that? Seriously. They choose not to as a company. They have the resources. They are a lot bigger than Replay, and they're certainly a shit ton bigger than 4th Street. And they can't create something better than this? And your excuse is because we're using an online database and we're playing in leagues. That's ridiculous. That's an excuse the company has been using for their customers to get around the fact that they don't have the money to do this. Well, if they're one of the biggest companies out there, how do they not have the money to do it? And these smaller companies can. Answer me that question. How can Stratomatic tell you that they don't have the money and the resources and time to do that? And these small companies, 4th Street, who maybe, and I don't know, maybe sells 100 products a year, maybe 200. I don't even know what his total shipping out and processing is, and how many units he sells. Compare that to Stratomatic, and you're telling me honestly that they can't do something better than what they've done? Seriously? Well, that's the issue I have. That's the problem I have, and that's it in a nutshell. Is the customer base accepts below average because they tell the customers they can only do below average. And they've accepted that because they enjoy their coffee. Again, nothing wrong with their coffee. Their coffee is excellent. I'm not telling you to leave this coffee shop. You enjoy your time there at that coffee shop. You enjoy your time with your coffee there. But you should be demanding your coffee company does a lot better than what they do. And if you don't demand this, then you're part of the problem because they will continue giving you things that are being outshined by every other company out there. When one dude can create something like this part-time that actually has players moving on the screen, moving the puck into different zones, creating shots in goal, having rebounds, having matchups, having all kinds of things. When they do that, and it's basically the same kind of setup that they have in Stratomatic hockey, and Stratomatic has nothing like this, absolutely nothing, no player movement. Every single shot is the exact same way. It's a damn shame. It really is. I enjoy Stratomatic. I wish they would get their act together. I would like to come to your coffee house more. I would enjoy their coffee a lot more. But when they tell you they can't do this and they can only supply you with below average, I have a hard time supporting that coffee house. When the coffee house across the street gives me a lot better and they treat the customer a lot better, then that's the problem I have with Stratomatic. Thanks for listening. Leave your thoughts, comments, suggestions below. We'll see you all next time.